On this episode of the Star Wars Time Show, Matt and Nick will dissect the events of 2 BBY as told by episodes 7 through 9 of Andor Season 2. Did the new portrayal of the Ghorman Massacre hit hard? Was pre-existing canon honored? Is Andor the best written Star Wars of all time? Tune in for all the answers and more. Of course, they'll end the show with the question of the week responses and the latest round of top 5 pen artist features. Punch it, Chewie. Hey now, everybody! I got my Sir Dork shirt on. We'll see if it calls him. He's like a fairy if you wear his shirt. He may appear in your stream. You never know. What's going on, people? I like seeing an active live stream chat. We got the Bango. We got Duel the Cates, Divided, League, Kramer. It's all my buddies from Discord. I was just telling young Nick here. If you're in our Discord, we all roll through that. We've gotten into the habit on Andor night to all check in around 9-10 p.m. East in Discord in our spoiler talk channel. Then we'll watch the first episode. We'll come in, have a little report out on it. Watch the second one, come in, have a little report out. Third one, and we'll all sit around there and kind of wax poetic about what we just saw. So kudos to you all for having fun with myself last night watching that excellent, dare I say perfect arc of Andor Season 2, episodes 7 through 9, what we will call Ghorman Massacre 2.0, Mon Mothma's coming out party. So if you're new here, we will get to our patented deep dive breakdown a bit into this episode of the SWTS. Welcome, welcome. Hey there, Josiah. Hey there, Cal Hampter official. Both said hi. We're saying hi as well. So that'll be coming down the pike. We've got some other things to get into before then, though. All right, we've got our pop culture talk. We've got Ask Us Anything, talk a little bit about the Thunderbolts. And guess what? Someone also put out a new Star Wars this week in the form of Tales of the Underworld. So not only did we get Andor, but we got some new Tales of the Underworld here.
Yeah.
So plenty to do here, plenty to discuss, lots of stuff to get excited about. Nick, watching that arc last night, it just reminded me of why I love this damn franchise and why we do call Tony Gilroy Lord Gilroy. I think at one point in time it started out in a form of snarkiness from Nick and I talking about Tony and how pompous he was after Rogue One and some of the work he did there with Vader, and then talking about Andor Season 1. But all jokes aside, I think it's pretty clear now, 9 episodes into Andor Season 2, that this dude and the team of writers and creatives he has put together may be the greatest Star Wars rock band of all time. And yes, I know that sounds sacrilegious to those of you that don't think anything lacking Space Wizards is actual Star Wars, is that anything Disney made is actual Star Wars, but I can promise you what we are seeing in Andor Season 2 is some of the best written, constructed, shot, scored, acted Star Wars on this planet. Enough's enough. Quit telling me about what George Lucas would say or write. You're all wrong anyways. He doesn't care anymore. He sold the fucking thing to Disney, okay? Leave the man alone. You're not him. You don't know what he is thinking. I had someone tell me, Nick, that George wrote Star Wars very black and white. The Rebels were bad. Empire was bad. Rebels would do bad things, which would cause people to join the Empire. I'm like, what the fuck show are you watching?
Yeah,
Which show are you people watching, honestly?
You know, everybody has a right to their own opinions. Some of those
exactly
may not be the most informed.
Even if they're dumb, you do have the right to say them and look like a fool for putting it in writing. I didn't even respond to it because it was so silly. But anyways, We got plenty of stuff to do. Be mad, we love you. Always throwing that tip money out. If we could, we'd definitely whip out our junk to reward you, but we would get the channel banned. So we tend to keep that stuff below the belt. You know what I mean? All right, Duel of the Kates coming in
was
here.
The most Star Wars I've felt watching Star Wars. There you go.
I like that, Be Mad. I mean, that's what you get. When you tip us, you can have poor grammar as well. Mando Pirate coming in saying he loves Bo Willimon and other members of the writing team to do an Old Republic show. Guess who wrote last night's arc, by the way? Danny Boy Gilroy. Sir Gilroy. So
bro.
we have Lord Gilroy, which is Tony, and then Sir Gilroy, which is Danny Boy. So Lords are higher than Sirs. That's why that kind of breaks out that way. And then we got Duel of the Kates coming in here. Glad you're back there, Kate. My favorite part of A New Hope was when Luke asked for the Empire's consent when he blew up the Death Star. Exactly. That's right.
That's why it took him so long when he was in the trench. He was like waiting for the call back, like, hey guys, I'm going to blow this up. Is that okay? He was waiting for the Empire to respond.
Yeah, Nick, actually, in universe, when the Death Star got blown up, so many people were aghast at the Rebel Alliance that more planets actually tried to join the Empire after they were already in the Empire.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
That's canon, right?
I just like, how does that even work? Like, how can you say you're going to join an empire when an empire has already taken over you? Does people not? Do they not understand what imperialism is? What it means?
It's not really a question of whether you would like to join.
you remember Revenge of the Sith? A new galactic empire. I mean, he just in the snap of a finger, he turned the Republic, the Galactic Republic, into an empire. So there we go. All right. Let's get into a little Ask Us Anything. There's some good stuff up there, and then we'll move into a review on Thunderbolts, Tales of the Underworld, and then the stuff we really want to talk about, Andor Season 2. Glad you're here, my live stream peeps. If you want to join, if you've just been dabbling in the SWTS, maybe on audio-only platforms, we do this Wednesday, 5:30 Eastern, as close as you can get, youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show. All right, let's see what the fans wanted to ask us this week, Nick. There's a decent set of questions out there. I think we even got one from a non-loyalist, which is always nice.
Whoa!
We love you loyalists, but I mean, sometimes it's nice to hear from people that may hate us or they don't even know about us. So, all right. First question, it's something that pops up on this show because we are not PG-13, but we got an FMK, and it's not from a male. It's actually from Divided. So I dig this. But it lines up with the, today's content, Andor Season 2, what's happening in current Star Wars verse. It's a fuck, marry, kill. All right, FMK.
Yep.
And Nick, your choices are Dedra, Serial, or Partagaz.
Yeah.
What a crew there. It's the ISB triumvirate.
The real answer is K, all of them. But if I had to take a stab at this, I mean, I would probably I don't know. Dedra and Cyril are just both nuts. I would probably marry Partagaz because he seems to be the most stable of all of them, even though he is probably the most evil. And then I would kill Dedra, and I would bang Cyril. That's how I'm going on this one. There's no good answer, but that's how I'm going.
While we're talking about these three, can we kind of toot our horn a little bit? If you remember when the first trailer came out and people are like, oh, look at Dedra, she's holding her collar and Vader's choking her, dude. And I'm like, no, I think she's just stressed out about something on Ghorman that she probably was responsible for. Like literally to a T.
Which was all of it.
And I think I even said it, maybe she ends up getting serial killed. Boom! Let's go! Trophies now! Come on. Although I think we failed one of our big ones that we've been teeing up for 3 years. We'll talk about that here at the end. But the end of episode 9 makes it pretty clear that what we've been trying to make happen just by speaking it over and over is not the thing after all. Our K2 predictions were quite off, although I do kind of dig how they met and how that all came to be. But of course, more on that later. All right, for me, FMK with these three. I'm going to, kill Partagaz because he honestly could be one of the most vile Imperials out there. And he's just like, you know what? Bad luck, Ghorman. Fuck it. We got to blow the planet up. So I'm killing Partagas. Yeah, I'll go ahead and give Cyril a reach around. Then I'll marry Dedra, who now is just a wet noodle of emotion after the Ghorman Massacre. So there you go. Thank you. All right.
There you go.
Now we've got another question from Baron's Black Series. Is this 7 through 9 Andor arc the best stars, period? The action, the suspense, the writing, the music, emotion, chef's kiss. So I don't know what a stars is, but if he was asking the best Star Wars, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it was really good. It was really good. I think that I was telling Matt earlier, I wish that this particular 3
like
would have
that
been
dual
stitched
decades.
together as a movie, because I really think it would have, like, it flowed well. It would have really worked well as a film altogether. But yeah, I mean, it's up there. It's really good stuff. I mean, it depends on what you like out of your Star Wars. There's a lot of different flavors of Star Wars now. Yeah, I mean, I think it's some of the best for sure.
Yeah, that's the thing, Nick. Like, I 100% think this is top tier Star Wars. I mean, it is now up there. And I hate to say this because I know it's going to get people all riled up, and they'll say I don't know anything. I'm a fake fan, but I think from top to bottom, this is the most pristinely crafted Star Wars of all time. Like the acting, the directing, the cinematography. I think the only thing we could say that does not rival OG Star Wars is the score, and that's only because they're not using John Williams. But last night, Nick, I'd argue through 7 through 9, the score was just as big of a player as the action taking place on screen in terms of ratcheting up your emotions, giving you foreboding feelings of dread, anxiety, stress, suspense. But yeah, it's fantastic. But back to Nick's point, it's its own genre of Star Wars. I think we got to start getting used to the idea that Star Wars is so big, so broad, and so full of storytelling avenues that Star Wars isn't just what it used to be anymore. It's not just always going to be about the Jedi and the Sith or the Skywalkers and the Palpatines of the world. It is a place that is massive and has all of these characters and the potential that they can lend to narratives that can be told. And I think Tony and his team have proven that, although they did weave the Force in finally, but they've mostly proven through 2 seasons and many, many hours of content that Star Wars can be highly compelling, thrilling, suspenseful, action-packed without the big boys and girls in it, without the main trope of the Force being front and center, without the Sith being the big bads or the Jedi being the big good. So it's something special, people. That's all I can say. That's all I can say. I think we are witnessing some of the most finely crafted Star Wars ever. And I think it's a treat. Okay.
Yeah.
Next question we got. Here's our boy Kramer. Kramer, yeah, you got to figure out the spoiler talk channel, my man. That poor guy, he comes in. We're all like, yeah, bang, bang. This person's dead. That fucking happened. He's like, oh, shit. That's what spoiler means, my friend. So stay out of there. But anyways, Kramer's asking, do you think after watching the Ghorman Massacre, Star Wars needs to be more mature? I think I just answered that right there. Kramer, I think we have genres now of Star Wars. I think, yes,
Yeah.
this has proven that mature, adult-oriented Star Wars, it's not flashy and laser sword laden, 1000% can be fantastic. But, you know, there's also a case to be made for the more fantastical Star Wars, the fantasy-based Star Wars. So I really think, as I just said, we have multiple genres we can enjoy Star Wars stories in now and hopefully not get butthurt over stupid stuff. So that's my take. What do you think, Nick, on that first one?
Yeah, I think that's, I mean, like, in terms of the maturity level, I don't think that this was overly mature, even in comparison to like some of the standard Star Wars stuff. Like, there's not a lot of language. There's not a lot of, like, there's violence and there's like depiction of like heavy emotion and stuff like that. But like, this isn't like watching, like a war movie or something like that. There's just that not that like visceral level of violence. I was telling Matt about this earlier. I would say that like some of the themes are mature, but I would say like I would not let like a 16-year-old watch this or a 15-year-old watch this. I think that this is perfectly acceptable for like middle-aged teens. Like I don't see a reason why somebody who's 14 can't watch what we just watched. Like there's no reason for them not to be able to. I would say that what you're probably more asking about is like the the theme of Star Wars, right? Like to dip more away from fantasy, like you were mentioning, Matt, and then more into like suspense drama, like spy thrill, like thriller type of material, which feels different than standard Star
Oh
Wars.
yeah.
But I wouldn't even call this like super mature Star Wars.
No.
Like this, like no, yeah,
Yeah, there's not like sex scenes, there's not gore. Like Nick said, there's not ultra violence. I don't think you ever get there. I mean, I would love an R-rated Star Wars, but I think that's when we lean back towards like the bounty hunters or the seedier sides of the
yeah.
franchise. All right, we got a lot of stuff coming through the chat. I want to take this one from Nick's buddy Phil before we move on with Kramer's question here, because I was thinking something like this too. But Philip's saying, do we think the final episode will include a time jump showing Bix sometime after the events of episode 4 or 6 with the fall of the Empire? Here you go, Philip. This is what I was kind of thinking last night when I was watching Bix's goodbye, which quite frankly absolutely devastated me. I was an emotional mess watching that and kind of putting myself in her shoes and Cassian's shoes and what would that be like in my own life. I mean, it fucked me up. But I was thinking, I was like, you know what? I'm pretty sure at this point, Bix is off the table. I don't think we are going to get a Bix death. I think this is her leaving Cassian. This is her leaving the show. And I like Philip said, I would love some epilogue that recognizes Bix witnessing what Cassian the messenger ultimately accomplished. I think that would be a fantastic cherry on the top of the season. And Philip, there is precedence for a stinger in Andor, because we got one at the end of season 1 when they teased the Death Star was, what Cassian was doing on Narkina, or the prison there, was actually being used on the Death Star. So I'm with you, Philip. I think that would be a perfect epilogue to kind of pick up with Bix after the destruction of the Death Star, and just seeing her either smile or knowing that Cassian fulfilled his prophecy as the messenger.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do think that like they've made her too big of a part of the show to just like have what we've seen be her final send off. And I do think that if we take this to a degree where it's like, obviously we know when the proper show ends, right? Like the show is going to lead right into the beginning of Rogue One, where we see Cassian killing his contact, and then on forward through there. But if we throw in a stinger, like you mentioned, I think it would be really nice to show, Bix off somewhere, whether it's like, like a rebel hangout, like a rebel party after the destruction of the Death Star, and like really showing her emotion, and like showing, like you said, her appreciation for the work that Cassian did. So I think that would be a really nice thing.
Nick, would you want to see her with a child, essentially confirming that she was pregnant, possibly? I know they didn't like go that angle, but hey, let's be real. They were a couple living in the Yavin jungle, so there's a good chance they're playing around, maybe even that night. So yeah, I'm with all of you. I mean, it's the more you think about it, her leaving is actually more tragic than her dying, I think, for Cassian. Because I mean, she more or less is like, no, I'm making the choice for both of us. This is your destiny, and I'm not holding you back. So I'm not letting you even have the chance of keeping me here or me affecting your commitment further.
Yeah, it would be an interesting. I mean, that would be an interesting cut, an interesting angle at it. I don't think it's necessary. I think that their relationship as it was kind of spoke for itself, and it was like it was a relationship that was like obviously born out of a lot of tragedy and a lot of trauma bonding and a lot of like issues that both of them were dealing with through each other. I mean, I would really like to see, like, even if they showed her like with somebody else, like to know that Bix has moved on with her life to a point to where it's like I don't feel shackled by what was anymore. Like I feel comfortable moving on with my life, and I appreciate what Cassian was able to give me during his time here, and it allowed me to live my life to the fullest and see this through to its end.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I
I
don't
mean,
think a child would be necessary, but yeah.
yeah. I was just gonna throw it in there because sometimes they like to leave that nugget, just like they did with Hare and Kanan and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I would love that, Phil. I know we went a little long. Another one is coming from Oisin Malone, a new chatter here. What happened to B2 Emo? Yeah, we'll talk more on this, but it is seeming at this point in time that yeah, B2 has been retired to Mina Rao, and that's that. Which is unfortunate, but I don't want to get into that discussion yet about K2 and how Nick and I for 3 years have more or less been telling everyone to take shit to the bank, and we should know better when it comes to Star Wars and layups and Gilroy himself, but we'll get there. But Oisin, yeah, it's looking like he's just off in the sunset, hanging out with Bix probably at this point in time. And last but not least, yes, I forgot who asked this. Yeah, Wilmond is definitely becoming a more fleshed out character. I'm not gonna lie. Like I thought Wilmond would be dead by now. I thought he was gonna be stuck with Saul. It was kind of cool that they brought him back in to kind of show that Cassian and Luthen have almost fully split at this point in time. Cassian prefers the bigger aspects of the rebellion and army building and the community, where Luthen is still hardcore cloak and dagger doing the nitty gritty stuff to kind of knock down the big dominoes. So I thought Wilmond was kind of the nice go-between for those two factions. All right. Why is the holiday special that bad? It was made in the 70s. It was a throwaway. I don't think George thought anyone would ever watch it. And you got to remember, back then, Star Wars wasn't the cultural phenom that it has become today. It was in the zeitgeist, but it was not a full-blown religion for some people like it is now. And then lastly, thoughts on the George Pickens trade. It just continues to show the dysfunctionality that's taking place in the Pittsburgh front office. What, you trade someone after the fucking draft, especially someone of his capital, makes zero sense. So hopefully they lose. That's all I'm gonna stick to. Hopefully they keep losing and let Rodgers string them along. Let's keep it up. Screw everybody. Yeah, I think a lot of people had a slight change of heart for Cyril at the end. And of course, we'll talk about not Nick. Nick's like, fuck you. You make your bed and you lie in it. But
bro, this is what you wanted your whole life. You
I know, but
be an Imperial stooge.
I think he realized that, like, a little too late, that when you kind of make your hay with the Empire, everyone eventually gets burnt in the end. So
I'll talk more on it when we get there.
Yeah.
Because he didn't turn from the Empire. He was just like, oh, we're just going to kill the Ghorman people. I just wanted to kill the rebels. Right. And that's what blew him away.
But I do think, Nick, I know you're not a big Cyril guy, but I do think deep down he did realize, like, oh, fuck. But it was seeing Cassian that just kind of flicked the red back on his face. And there's a lot of process in that fight. Like, that shit was deep. Like, right there at the end, Cyril's like, what am I doing? Boom! See ya. So, but we'll save it. All right, Beast Mobile. Seeing the life of everyday people on Andor, do you still think you'd like to live in that universe?
I mean, there's a lot of space in the universe. Do I want to be a rebel fighting against the Imperials? I mean, it depends on what your role is, and like, if I'm inhabiting a character that goes on the Aldhani heist and immediately dies, probably not. Like, but if you get to choose the character life that you live, then yeah, probably so. Or if you get to choose the era that you live in, I think it would be interesting in that time period as well. Like, I think it would be pretty cool to grow up in, like, the High Republic era. I think that's an era that doesn't have, like, a ton of strife, and it is like,
Nick wants to go to the Kinder block on Coruscant and become a Dedra 2. Long live the Empire.
So I think that there's a lot of space to work in there. Old Republic, Grand Republic, High Republic, New Republic in the future. Who knows? There's a lot of space. So I think it could still be cool.
Yeah, honestly, Nick, I still would want to be in this universe, because I've always had a hero fantasy for myself, that I would be some form of champion or leader of some form of rebellious movement. So I'm all for it. I'm that much of a fame attention whore that, yes, I would even like to be embroiled in a rebellion that could cost me my life or my family's life or my friend's life. That's just me, though. I'm for glory. Okay, I should have been born a Viking. All right, Scion XTC. What do you guys think of Universal's epic universe? I'm going to jump on this real quick because I know Nick is a hardcore Disney homer. I am not. I'll tell you right now, the advertising I've seen for this epic universe seems way more compelling to me and exciting than what a Disney park can provide. So if I was to dump cash at this point in time, heading down to Orlando, Nick, I'm probably passing Disney's parks and going to this Universal epic universe thing.
Yeah, I mean, this is essentially Universal building their own version of Disney. Like if you had been to Universal before, everything was disconnected. There was no, like, you're going through the park. Yeah, there's no theme. There's no like consistent feel throughout the park. It really did just kind of feel like you were walking through like a bigger Six Flags. But I like what they've done, and I like that I like the properties that they've chose to incorporate into it, and I like that they have taken a cue from Disney to build that out and to like actually make the park feel like you're in the world instead of just going like, well, I'm going to the Hulk ride and then I'm going to go ride Dudley Do-Right's water flume. Like they have really brought it together in a really cool way. And like I've been to Universal multiple times. I've been to Universal before they even split it. They split off Islands of Adventure into its own thing. So like I enjoy both.
Well, they got the Harry Potter shit there too, right?
Yeah, like Harry Potter. Yeah, Harry Potter stuff is really cool. I always enjoy going to Harry Potter World. I have one of my Harry Potter wands back right there somewhere behind me. So yeah, big fan.
All right, we got one from EB_captures. Predictions on how good the upcoming Starfighter movie will be, not series. We think.
Yeah, movie. I mean, I think it's going to be good. I like Sean Levy's stuff. I like Ryan Gosling in his most recent, like more kind of like brash action hero type of roles that he's been playing. Well, not even brash, but like just like he's
so good in Fall Guy, man. He's so good in Fall Guy.
Dude, Fall Guy, just incredible work in Fall Guy. And like if he can bring that style of energy and Levy can bring that style of energy to Star Wars, which would again be an expansion of what we've already seen in the universe and like bringing a new feel, bringing a new style of storytelling and action, I think it could be great. And I mean, really what it comes down to is, you know, obviously the script, Levy and Gosling have worked together before. So I think that they already have that rapport that you need to do it. And I trust in Gosling's acting and Levy's directing to bring something special. So I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be good.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same path as Nick. It has a ton of potential. So unless they purposely try to fuck it up, it should be good. Should be good. Should be one of the best things we have set in the sequel trilogy era. Notice the key word is should.
Yeah.
League asking,
we'll
isn't Levi, however the fuck you say his name, known for horror? Not really. I mean, he's more sci-fi action type of stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
I'd say he's more comedy than anything, right?
Yeah, it's more like his directing credits are as well. I mean, I guess, you know, actor, writer, director, whatever. Here are his director credits. I mean, you probably don't know some of this stuff, but let's see. Deadpool and Wolverine, he was producer on. Free Guy, he was producer on. Atom Project, he was producer on. Arrival, he was producer on. So not like, it's almost like action comedy to a certain degree. It's like what he leans into recently. He's also going to be directing a lot of like pre-production stuff. Dungeons and Dragons TV series, which if you've seen the movie, is also action comedy. Starman, which I think is going to be around David Bowie, and then Star Wars, Starfighter, and Stranger Things.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, I think Levy's he's legit, and so's Gosling. Yeah. So fingers crossed. All right. Okay, what else we got here? Bango. Given the original plan of 5 seasons, what is a plot line from season 1 or 2 that you would have liked to see expanded, and to what extent? Talking Andor here, Nick.
That's a good question, right? Like, I would have, I think that you probably could have taken episodes 4 through 9, so the last 2 arcs, and that could have been a season on its own. Like, you could have made that 6 episodes, 10 episodes easily, and really showed how the, like, we barely got to see, like, the infiltration of the Ghorman front by the Imperials, and like what they were doing to really, like, make it seem like the Ghorman front was violent, and that this insurrection needed to be put down in the way that it did.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we skipped a lot of it. Like, we got to see the very, very beginning when Cyril comes in, and then they run that op that was fed to them by Cyril, which then allowed the Empire to put the clamp down. And then you get to see the end of it, where they're like, we're now just gonna, like, we're just gonna shoot one of our own dudes, and then use that as the catalyst to start the insurrection. I feel like seeing that, like, play out in full would have been really interesting for me, because that's Tony's sweet spot. Like, that's, like, Tony Gilroy is known for the Bourne series, and the Bourne series is thriller spy action, and that's, he like has basically, like, taken that formula.
Yeah, he clearly excels at
Wars.
it. Yeah, he's clearly
like,
pretty good
that's
at
his
it.
that's his niche, and like he was able to do that, and I think that particular time period would have been right in that zone. And I think that could have been a really good full season of Star Wars,
Yeah,
is like really focusing there.
I'm gonna be honest with you, dude. Now that we are witnessing the condensed version, I do think it was the right decision. I still think the stories are being told in full. We're getting the complete gist of what happened. It's just slightly accelerated. But gun to head, the question is here. I'm right with Nick. I think really the only narrative we've seen over the first 2 seasons that would deserve a little bit more of a slow boil would be the Ghorman stuff.
Yeah,
but I still think it's been excellently portrayed from episode 1 until the end of episode 8, and really tangentially in 9. I mean, I think they did such a good job of laying the groundwork at the board meeting. Then you had Cyril doing his thing the next arc, and then boom, we're right here. I just thought it was brilliant the way they crafted it. So I wouldn't change a damn thing, Bango. I'm good with the 2 seasons. And last but not least, divided with a 2 for this week. Which is the best repurposed droid? IG-11, IG-12, L3, Falcon, or K2? A very good question, and timely.
I mean, L3 Falcon essentially creates the most iconic starcraft of all time. So I think I'm leaning that way. Like, you've essentially turned the Millennium Falcon, which was up to that point like a decent ship, but like nothing super special, and you've given it the best navicomputer that has ever existed, and turned it into like a formidable craft, so much to the point that, like, it can evade basically anybody who's ever come after it. So that's my opinion, is the L3 Falcon.
These are all great droids. You think about IG-11 after Khalil got to him, was the nurse droid. He had some fantastic moments. IG-12 became Grogu's mechanic. What Nick just said for Leet, and then K2. I mean, come on, we know what K2 ends up doing. So I think I'm going to go with my man, just because it's fresh. We've seen the origin story now. We may not love exactly how he got his brain, or it doesn't line up to our fan speculation. But the fact that this droid has given us one of the most memorable and honorable deaths in all of Star Wars, I'm going to go with K2. But young Nick also has a great point about the qualities of the Falcon's hyperdrive navicomputer.
Yeah.
All right, so we got Logan. Logan, you just missed our conversation on extending it or not, and Logan is of the opposite thought. Some feels it's a little rushed.
Yeah. I mean, I could see that. Like, there's a lot of like I can understand both points where Bango saying it can get tedious and Logan saying that season 2 feels a little rushed. Like I understand both points. I think that they've done a really good job of making everything feel cohesive in between yearly time jumps. And I think more specifically for 4 through 9, like 1 through 3 kind of felt like its own thing. Then 4 through 9 has felt like its own thing. And then we'll see how 10 through 12 go. But I would like to like spy type of shows like that where you're looking at like you're what I think would be interesting about a longer 4 through 9 is you see the de-evolution and the devolvement of like the movement, you see the devolvement of the Senate's power and the people's ability to actually impart change onto the galaxy. You feel the vice grip closing.
The Senate stuff, man.
Like I feel like there's a lot of shows that are already out there. Like Blacklist was kind of similar to that, where it was like a very subversive type of show, and you're like dealing with a lot of underground type of stuff like that. It's not like super in your face, and there's a lot of different shows that like follow and fit that style that we've seen in 4 through 9. So I would enjoy something like that, but I could see people who don't necessarily enjoy those type of stories getting bored with it.
Yeah, there's a question up there. Do you prefer season 1 or 2? I it's not even close to me. I think season 2 is, at least for me, heads and tails above 1. I would think Nick is the same because the big moment in 1, Nick actually hated. So I know he doesn't have a ton of love for Kino Loy and One Way Out.
Yeah,
like the rest
the
of
One
us.
Way Out thing is like a joke.
Don't get him started, people. He's gonna start flame throwing Andor season 2 now. He's like, you know what? Fuck this shit. I remember One Way Out. I hate it. I hate people that can't swim. All right. Anyway,
One Way Out. That's the way out. I'm not going. Fucking idiot.
I always love that. All right, people, before we get into our episode ranks of Tales of the Underworld and then our deep dive into Andor, S2, 7 through 9, quick little review of Thunderbolts. I will not announce the new title of the movie like Marvel is so keen to do, not even a week after its release. I'm not gonna lie. I was talking to Nick before we went live, and I went to this on a flyer. I've got AMC A-list. It's like, yeah, sure, why not? I'll go use one of my 4 free movies of the week to go catch out the latest MCU drop. And so I went in low expectations. I don't know, maybe that was the right way to approach this. But I have to say, Nick and everyone listening here, Thunderbolts is a damn fine MCU movie. In fact, it might be one of the best since Endgame. I'm not going to say it feels like old phase 1 through 3 Marvel, but it's the closest to that we've been in quite some time. I'd say it's a film that will surprise you. It's not standard Marvel fare, MCU fare. It actually puts mental health under a microscope for a lot of the characters you can see on the poster there, which I appreciate, and kind of hearing them working through their shit and all the shit people in the MCU are dealing with, after the snap and everything else that's been happening since Phase 3. So, pleasantly surprised. Florence Pugh is a gem. David Harbour as Red Guardian is 1,000% some of the best comic relief in these types of movies. Even Kirk's son, whatever the hell his name is, Kurt Russell's son, Wyatt Russell.
Oh yeah, Wyatt.
He's fucking
Russell.
great. This character Bob, who's sitting back there next to Wyatt, fantastic. Bucky has some amazing moments where you're kind of, again, phase 1 through 3, you're like, yeah, fuck yeah. You actually get excited to see these people doing cool shit, which I've not felt in a Marvel movie for many years. So, League's up there on Love and Thunderbolts. So I think this is one, Nick, I could recommend to you actually going to a theater and trying out the MCU again.
I do want to see this in theaters. I was talking to Taylor about this before, and we watched there was like a 3-minute behind the scenes on Disney Plus with it, where they were showing what I assume is the beginning of the movie, where like Yelena kind of falls off that building and perished.
That's it.
They actually went to the second tallest building in the world and filmed that for real.
So it's like Tom Cruise shit. It's Tom Cruise shit. Then,
yeah, huh? like she's on a rig and she steps off that building and falls in real life. and then like they showed another scene in like a similar spot where like that explosion around that building actually happened. Like that was real, that they like
Oh.
set up on a real building all these explosives, and that
Yeah, I mean,
explosive
dude,
went off in that
like I said,
crowd.
this thing just feels grounded. It's not all superhero-y. I mean, yes, some of these people they are stronger, but they're not like flying around shooting laser beams and stuff like that. So I dug it. Hopefully, Duel the Cates didn't unsubscribe over positive Thunderbolts, and it was Nick's hate of Andor season 1. But she has left the channel after hearing Nick hated One Way Out.
So Duel of the Cates saw the same little behind the scenes thing as me, and I don't know why it was so short. But I was like, man, that's so cool that I actually want to go see it.
Look at that, man. Someone did their job in the advertising team there. So 2 of you, that might be 2 tickets sold, which in this day's market, that's like $500 worth of ticket sales. So kudos to you too. All right, so there's that. I got one little quick thing just because some guy hit us up and actually emailed and asked us to talk about this, but there's a Kickstarter out there for the Elstree 1976 Deluxe 10th Anniversary Blu-ray box set. Though, you know, if you're into the OT and kind of how it was made, in particular the characters that were wearing all the masks and the alien stuff back then, this documentary covers all that type of stuff. And this new release includes over 12 hours of bonus interview footage, which is going to include David Prowse, Jeremy Bullock, Angus McInnes, Paul Blake, who's Greedo. So I've got the graphic up here on the live stream, but if you look it up on Kickstarter, just type in Elstree 1976 and you should be good to go. Yeah, I thought it was kind of neat.
Go support.
All right, Nick. Well, you know, we've been sitting here waxing poetic and popping chubs over Andor season 2, but we did have another new Star Wars drop this week on May the 4th, Star Wars Day. Having a little bit of a problem loading the deck here. Hopefully it is not a sign of technical issues to come here. Just to give
there it goes.
Just to give everyone some insights, if you're new here, our show sucks for technical issues. That's kind of what we're known for. But where I live, we've had rolling internet outages all week. So I don't know if this is just New America, but my internet went down today, Nick, for about 2.5 hours in the middle of trying to break down Andor Season 2. So ask me if I had a mini stroke or not. Okay, I did, just in case anyone was wondering. But yeah, Tales of the Underworld came out on Sunday. I checked out all 6 episodes. We got a 3-block for Asajj, a 3-block for Cad Bane, a.k.a. Colby. You gotta who would ever thought Cad Bane's real name was Colby, right? I dig it.
Yeah,
Colby.
that's
Colby Bane.
Not expecting that.
Colby Bane.
Not expecting.
Did he borrow the last name too? You know, I don't know. I mean, Colby Bane, was he just Colby and he added the Bane when he adopted the Cad? Who knows? But we checked it out. We've got some thoughts. We're going to give you our episode rankings. Okay, we ranked the Asajj episodes. We ranked the Cad episodes. And then Nick doesn't know this, but at the end, I'm going to force him to pick the best overall. So, Nick, I don't know if... do you just want to give a casual review of Tales real quick, or should we just talk about the episodes as we're explaining our rankings?
I can give you my quick thoughts. I definitely like the Cad trio better than the Ventress trio. That's for sure. So like my opinion on that. And overall, I think that I'm interested to see what they do with the Ventress stuff, because it almost feels like they're trying to set something more up with this. In the way that it ended, the fact that we've seen her resurrected now. So I'm interested to see if that was more of a setup for something bigger, or what happens with it. But yeah, overall, I found the Cad trio to be stronger.
I thought all the Asajj stuff was even pre her Bad Batch debut. Like this was her getting back into the swing of things after her resurrection. But hey, overall review of Tales of the Underworld it's fine. It's fine. You know, I still think, like Tales of the Empire, that it is substandard to Tales of the Jedi. I have not felt the same sense of awe and wonder watching the Tales of franchise since Tales of the Jedi. Tales of the Empire, kind of lackluster characters, like, whatever. Here, yeah, these are huge characters, right? I mean, they're massive Clone Wars era characters. Filoni and Lucas created characters. Asajj has history all the way back to Gennady Tartakovsky's Clone Wars shorts. So, I mean, she's been at this for over 20 years. Cad, clearly a fan favorite, but I don't really feel like either one of the stories gave us anything of real note. Okay, yeah, Cad's name was Colby. Cad has a kid.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Asajj was resurrected by the Night Sisters. Oh, okay. And she was allowed to be resurrected because she loved someone in the real world, but part of the deal being resurrected is you could no longer be with that person. It's like, okay, cool. We know how she's back. I don't really find it to be that amazing or that lore rich. So, like Tales of the Empire, I think Tales of the Underworld is kind of mid compared to Tales of the Jedi. So, let's get into the episode ranks now. We will start with the Asajj episodes, see how Nick and I kind of squared these up. So, the first one, A Way Forward, and this is where we learn of her resurrection here. So, any comments on this, Nick, or I'll show you what we ranked here. So the first Asajj episode, the breakdown from the SWTS bros is as follows. We agree. It was the best out of the Asajj episodes. I guess since I'm talking, I'll just kind of riff on it. We got some good lore. While it was not that exciting, it was cool to see Quinlan and Obi-Wan kind of dumping her off and seeing how she was resurrected. And it does seem like, even though as we were watching it, it felt like she was resurrected immediately, it does seem like she was a spirit for a decent amount of time, at least enough time for the Empire to take over and all that fun stuff. Plus, we met a new survivor of Order 66, which is starting to become a joke in Lyco. We got a pretty fun animated lightsaber duel against that prune-faced Inquisitor at the end. So, yeah, Nick, I agree with you, man. I think this first Asajj episode was definitely the standout in that block.
Yeah, I think it was the best. I think it, like, obviously filled in that little gap that we had of, like, she's dead, how'd she come back? So we see that come to fruition. And then, yeah, I do agree that lightsaber battle at the end really kind of brought it home for me. Yeah, I appreciate the story that they're telling with Asajj. Episode 1 did a good job of, like, setting up what we already knew was happening. So overall, yeah, my favorite as well.
All right. So Asajj episode 2, Friends. This is where we kind of see her and Lyco. They're a bit of a pair now. She teams up with a former Clone Wars character in Latz, a ne'er-do-well bounty hunter, if you will. You know, they kind of get themselves mixed up on a mission. There's some betrayal going on. There's some decisions that need to be made between these two newfound Force buddies. So when it comes to the episode rankings, here how we shook it out. Nick put episode 2 as his second favorite Asajj, where I put it as my third favorite. To be honest with you, people, this one I found it to be fairly uninteresting. I didn't really think the plot was very exciting. It was predictable in terms of the betrayals and whatnot, and trying to play Lyco against Asajj and some of the basic action during the heist and then the resolution. It was just like, yeah, you know, it's neat. I can see these two are getting more used to working together and kind of forming a bond that was tested and it survived that test. But outside of that, I found it to be the least exciting of the Asajj. So Nick, you kind of disagree with that.
I mean, honestly, 2 and 3 were both pretty fucking boring to me. He
flipped the coin for this one.
Yeah, like instead of like 1, 3, 2, I was just like, just go in order. 1, 2, 3.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I lost interest in the Asajj one pretty much after the first episode. I thought that the action sequence with, like, the rolling ball and shit like that was pretty cool. But overall, yeah, I mean, like, it wasn't anything super special. And yeah, I don't know. I don't see, if this is not extended into something larger, I don't see the point of this. Is all I'll
Yeah,
say.
well,
Like,
it's the
I,
same
I
thing as Tales of the Empire. I don't think there's a point for any of these tales of.
well, the way that they ended that, like her arc, like would lead me to believe like, okay, we're gonna have more stories with her. So like, if this was used as like a 3 mini episode intro into something that's a little bit larger for Asajj into the universe, then I'd be fine with it. But like, yeah, I don't
I
know.
hate to
It just
burst your
seems like
bubble, Nick. I think
weird.
this was to set it up to lead her into Bad Batch season 3. So they've already
If
paid up
that's
on
what
that
it
shit.
was, then
Yeah, I I
yeah, I
I
don't
think
know.
this is like any of the other Tales series where it just fleshes out the past. It doesn't really provide future narrative. All right, and then that brings us to episode 3, One Warrior to Another. This is where the two end up on this desert planet. She runs into a former separatist commander who remembers her, and he's still all about fighting. And you find out that if you just
Mhm.
talk to people and hash out your issues, there's really not a lot of reasons to fight. And really kind of that what tied this arc all together and brought Lyco and Asajj to where we see them end up is, she always wanted to kind of get them to the hidden path. I did like that we kind of got that established, that hidden path is a thing. Voss is kind of in charge of it, and then the connection between Asajj and Voss and why she may want to try to help people to help him, even though they can't be together anymore. So he
Yep.
goes to the cave and he ends up ultimately deciding not to go on the path, and they team up. So this one, obviously Nick rated at last. I had a second. I just, kind of like Nick was saying after the first one, these Saj stuff was like, okay, it's nice, but really nothing memorable, kind of lackluster. But I did find it for me to be more entertaining than 2, so that's why things shook
Yeah.
out the way they did. And you kind of explained why, so I think we can
Yeah.
move
I
on
mean,
to
the only
CAD.
thing that yeah, the only thing that stood out to me about episode 3 was the CIS guy saying we were right the whole time, which they were pretty right. Like, the people who, like, not like Dooku, not Grievous, not the ones that were conspiring with Palpatine, because Palpatine was essentially running a war against himself.
Yeah,
Um, but the people who are on the ground, like the CIS people who are like, look, we don't want to be a part of the Republic. We just want to do
it's
our own
corrupt. It's
thing. Like,
bad.
yeah, it's like, why are you forcing us to be a part of this when we just don't want to be? Like, you're supposed to be all about like freedom of choice, like your ability to choose what you want to be in the galaxy. Like, ostensibly, that's what the Republic was before it turned into the Empire, was like, and it was always like, now that you look back on it, yeah, like the ground fighters of the CIS and the people who are like, we don't want, like, we want to be independent, like we just want to be our own thing, they were right.
They could
So I
smell
think that was,
Palpatine's stank from a mile away. Yeah. All right.
yeah, yeah,
So there you go. There's the Asajj stuff. It's it's there. That's what I mean. I mean that's what Tales of has become. It's like, hey, it exists. It's nice, but nothing to write home about. All right. So on to the Bane episode. Episode 1, The Good Life. This is where we meet Bane as an adolescent. Him and his buddy Nero. They're kind of street rats. They gotta get into shenanigans just to get by. They don't really live a great life until they meet Laszlo, who gives them a taste of the good life, hence the title of the episode here. So, how did your bros shake this one out? Well, Nick rated it last, and I rated it last for the Bane episodes, and it's fine. Like I'm not saying this stuff upset me or I hated it, but it's just like it was just okay. Nothing.
yeah,
I think the biggest reveal here is that Cad's name was Colby, and it was
yeah,
cool to kind of see how him and his buddy split up and what that turns into, and how Cad was essentially adopted by a bad guy, and that's where he gets his hat and the toothpick gimmick. But outside of that, it's just like it's just okay. It's just kids fucking around,
yeah.
really, and eating candy.
Yeah, it's an intro to a gangster movie. Like, if you've ever seen a gangster movie where they like
1,000.
do a flashback intro, like to show like how the person got involved in that life. I mean, that's what it was. And the intro is never the best part of a movie. Like, the intro is to just set you up for all of the better
Yeah.
stuff to come later. So
Yeah, I mean, it definitely did good at setting things up. There wasn't a ton of meat to really sink your teeth into, or lore that's like, damn, that's really cool. I don't think Colby was the big shebang Dave was thinking it was going to be. All right, so episode 2 here, A Good Turn. This is where, Laszlo leaves and gets himself blasted by the Marshal and Cad at this point. Obviously vows revenge. We learn that he's got what appears to be a woman in Arin in his corner, and sure enough, this is the episode where Bane does don the hat and kind of start his reputation as a gunslinger, because he does end up wasting the Marshal, then getting captured by his former buddy Nero and locked up for a few years. So the rankings coming in from the homies, we are of sound mind on the Bane series, people. Nick and I both put number 2 at number 2 in terms of the rank. It was a little better. We got a little more visceral Bane. We got to see Bane fully assume the Cad Bane persona with the hat, the toothpick, dueling people and being quick on the draw. You get insights into him having a girl, which was kind of nice. And now, once we talk about episode 3, we'll see how Arin and their baby, how that probably has made Bane even more callous than he would have been before. But, it was still kind of middle of the road type of episode for the Bane run.
Yeah. I mean, it's, basically this whole 3-episode run is like showing his process of turning into who we know him as. This is the middle one. You find you like start to see like the clay mold is starting to take shape. Essentially, you're like, okay, this is how we're getting there. So yeah, better than the first one. A good like developmental story beat. But second
We
best
also,
of the 3.
I don't think Corey Burton did Kid Bane, but you could tell Corey was trying to do teen, young 20s Bane voice in this one. He's like, "Ah, man, hey, it wasn't full on gravelly Bane, but it was getting there." What I'm gonna say about this shit, what I think is the biggest miss in the Bane, in the Cad Bane run, is how do you not explain how he gets his fucking tubes, or why he needs those, or why he's got some life support system we see beeping at the end of the Book of Boba Fett? I don't know. Maybe that would make for a good arc, but what the fuck do we know, right, Nick? Right?
Yeah, I mean,
look who showed up. Hey, Dork, check this shit out, bro. You missed me.
Go.
I kicked off the show speaking your name. All right, so
you summoned him, as you said.
I did, and he finally showed up. I don't think anyone has to kind of guess on what the ranks are going to be for episode 3 here. One Good Deed. This is where Bane, look at that. He's coming back. He just spent 5 years in prison. He's chiseled now. He's got scars on his lip. He's got that toothpick in, the hat down. And of course, he's solely on planet, his old home world, to exact revenge on his former best friend Nero for locking his ass up, and then, as he thinks, taking his girl and doing nasty things with her. So if you've been paying attention here, clearly Nick and I, we both found this to be the best of the Bane episodes. And quite frankly, it's because of the reveal that Bane was indeed a father, and he could not shake his dedication to lawlessness, to understand that his buddy Nero was actually helping him out all these years and taking care of his son and his woman, because Bane made poor choices that left him incapacitated in jail. So for that reveal alone, and just kind of seeing Bane's reaction to it, murdering his best friend, then realizing, oh shit, that's my kid, and then just walking away anyways, it definitely stood out in the Bane arc.
Yeah, I agree. I think that this one definitely, like, we got to the point where the Bane that we know has shown itself.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, this is the guy that Palpatine's gonna hire during the Clone Wars to go in and steal shit from the Jedi Temple. And Duel of Kates has a great point here. Bane kidnaps children to fill the hole of his own son. I actually think that's pretty on point. If you remember what he's doing when we met him again in what was that, Bad Batch? Yeah. All right, Nick. So Overall best episode for you, because we already gave the best arc, right? You said you preferred Bane over Asajj. So out of the 6 episodes, which was your top?
My favorite was probably the 3rd Bane episode.
Okay.
Just overall, I think it like showed the I think it did a really good job of like showing the culmination of that particular 3-episode arc, the character becoming who we're familiar with in the universe as a whole. And then like it did a really good job of like adding a little bit of an emotional punch with the kid and with Aaron still being alive and everything like that. So yeah, overall that was probably my favorite.
All right, just to be different, I'll go with Asajj number 1, mostly for the fact that we got that important canon revealed of her resurrection, but also some good little laser sword dueling towards the end. So that's that. There's Nick and Matt's SWTS breakdown and rankings of Tales of the Underworld. Right on time to move into the bread and butter here. And that is our deep dive of Andor S2, episodes 7 through 9. All right, as always, if you're new here, we typically go through and lay down our review of the arc, and then we'll get really nitty-gritty and start deep diving into some of the top moments, the Easter eggs, the references, and any speculative thoughts that might have crossed our gray matter as we watched this episode. So Nick, while I clear all the ads from view, why don't you let the fans know exactly how you felt about the Ghorman Massacre Mon speech arc?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was the best of the arcs thus far. I was a big fan of how it was structured. I was a big fan of how it felt, even though it was like a year jump. The jump from 4, 5, 6 to 7, 8, 9 felt pretty seamless. And it didn't feel like you missed a ton, even though there was clearly a lot happening in that interim period, in that 1-year interim period. Like Vel left and is no longer on Ghorman. Willman's there and is, like he's back from wherever he was with Saw, and now he's going to Ghorman with Cassian. And there was a lot that happened in the interim, but it felt really cohesive. It didn't feel like that you missed as like too much as to not understand like how we got here. And I think that the overall narrative that was told in this particular trio was really strong. I think that they did a great job of showing how an authoritarian government will essentially, regardless of what is happening on the ground in reality, will build a narrative to present to the people to make them seem like, to make what they want to do seem like the right thing, like and to justify whatever violence that they were to put down on those people. And the last episode in particular, I thought was really tense. It was really well done. I think that Mon's speech was cool, and Tony still left room for the speech that we end up seeing in Rebels. I thought that he did a good job of like putting that line in there and saying like, oh, she's going to come in on a ship and write the narrative.
He honored it all. He honored all that came before and probably made it better than it was, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So big fan of that. Like I don't like, my only criticism, as I had mentioned before, is just like, of all the chaos that was going around, it was weird to see like something like that happen in Star Wars, where like the din of the noise is just not there, and the violence that is ensuing is not as violent as you would expect.
Nick wanted the massacre to be Normandy.
Like when I was going into it, I was like, okay, like we're gonna have a bunch of people getting killed here. I'm thinking like World War II, like old
tracers whipping by.
Yeah, like that sort of intensity, in what is being presented to you, because that's what it is. Like you are being slaughtered. Like there are people being slaughtered by a corrupt government, authoritarian force that has built a narrative around why they're doing it, and now they're just killing people free of all restraint. So like in my mind, I'm going back to like Battle of the Bulge in Band of Brothers. I'm going to Normandy when they're storming the beach in Saving Private Ryan, stuff like that. Like these battles where the intensity is felt not only in the emotion but in like what is happening around you. And in Star Wars, you don't have like that type of violence.
I
Like it's
like
just not,
Duel
it's
the
just not
Kates, Nick.
present.
She's razzing you. She's understanding how we play over here. I like it. She's like, I don't know if Nick disliked One Way Out so much. I'm surprised he could stand. We are the Gore. The galaxy is watching. We are the Gore. I mean, like, the galaxy is watching.
It was great. It was great. It was great. I'm just saying that like like I said, my only criticism is that like Star Wars blasters are not guns.
Yeah. Look, like, he understands. Like, he understands why it wasn't a bloody mess of flying limbs and people sitting there going, my leg, my leg. I mean, when you get shot with blaster bolts, it kind of cauterizes things. And it's also Star Wars. I mean, as mature as this is, it's still not getting any worse than PG-13 in terms of violence and sexual content and stuff like that. So, all right. As always, I'm always going to promote my deep dive video that is out there now on the channel, youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show. I dropped about a 14-minute diatribe on this arc that contains a very thought-out review, an examination of the Ghorman Massacre 2.0 and how it accounts for the existing lore, Legends lore, while adding new lore, but also honoring stuff for Rebels and what happens to Mon in the Senate. So if you're interested in learning more about that shit, just in case I don't bring it up as we are spewing hot air tonight, I've got all those thoughts down. But if you've been here since we said, hey now today, I think it's evidently clear. If you were in the Discord last night, it's crystal clear. I am a super fan of this arc. It's a 10 out of 10. I don't think anything could have been done better about it. The music was fantastic. The pacing was fantastic. Just the way each episode built and spilt into the next was beautiful. And the way 9 kind of ended was tragic but hopeful. I'm excited to see what happens in 10, 11, 12. I just like 7, 8, 9 was a gem to behold. And I've got to applaud Tony and his team for the care they put into this, and him in particular for not being the guy we think he is or was, and like, I'm Tony, I'm gonna whip it out and do whatever I want. No, he put a lot of care into the telling of the Ghorman Massacre because he knew that it had been canonized. I mean, it was initially a Legends tale with the Tarkin thing, but that's now canon thanks to Tony and his team through the Tarkin Massacre. Then we had the new take on Ghorman, which we heard through Star Wars Rebels years ago, when we heard that something took place and that's why Mon did her speech. But now we got to actually see the massacre, and we've learned so much more lore about it. Luthen was involved. Cassian was there actually fighting against the Empire. So was Wilman. You know, we understand now that the ISB was the reason behind the massacre and how Serial was involved. It just like, it was so fantastic. All the new lore being added while honoring what came before it. Just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And what he did with Mon's speech, again, we never got the full thing in Rebels, now we do. We never really knew how she got out of the Senate, now we do. But he did that without overwriting Rebels, and again, kudos. Nick and I, during our, I think, Wants and Wishes episode, we were wondering, is he going to just take a shit on Rebels? And he didn't. He went out of his way to make sure not to mention Ghost Crew or Phoenix or anything like that. Just left it to Gold Squadron, which was involved for sure in that Rebels episode. But he honored it, and that to me is what made this arc so damn perfect. All right, we got a lot of stuff popping up in here. Wyatt asking here, I wonder what makes the Ghorman Massacre worse than not only the Tarkin Massacre, but also the Ferrix Ride from it. I think it's the fact that this had been going on for years. The galaxy had been hearing about all the lies and propaganda about how Ghorman has become almost an insurrectionist planet, and that why won't they just accept the Empire's goodwill and safety and all this shit. And then just literally, you know, Tarkin, he did a dick move. He took out like 500. You heard Drina over the radio, like, there's thousands dead in the streets. I mean, they were just fucking, it was shooting fish in a barrel. I mean, it was just like boop, 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 blast them. So I love it.
Yeah, it's also because that like the Ghorman Massacre was a psyop. Like the Ghorman
Yeah,
Massacre was completely. I mean, like Luthen didn't help for sure. Like Luthen fucked that up, but like it was an imperial plan to massacre an entire like to genocide an entire people because of some fucking rocks in the ground, like so like mineral deposits like at Ferrix. Like yeah, it was bad, but like that wasn't something that was completely constructed by the
right.
imperial side
And
of
it wasn't just
things.
a straight massacre either. I mean, yeah, there was a
Yeah,
skirmish, but it
yeah.
wasn't a coordinated. Let's just kill as many of these fuckers as we can plan. Hold on, I got to dress down BMAD here a little bit. Trying to tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. BMAD, you understand. The speech she gives in Rebels is not the Senate speech. The speech she gives in Rebels is over Dantooine when she is essentially announcing to the galaxy that she is joining the Rebel Alliance to lead it and all that type of stuff. And yes, she is wearing her white, the white we saw her leave in this episode. So suck it, canon preserved. You some bitch. You better just be trolling. All right. Anyways, Nick, let's you know how we do this now. We'll kind of examine some of the top moments. We'll see where the conversation goes. I always got my notes, all sorts of ha's to work through. But in terms of top moments, man, this one's kind of general, but I really appreciated the Yavin lore we specifically got in episode 7. Okay. I was not expecting to them to be on Yavin already and it to be this kind of a rebel community at this point in time. Learning that Cassian essentially has fully split from Luthen and does not prefer his ideology and way of doing things at this point. Him and Bix are kind of people in this movement. Cassian in particular is looked at as a major leader and someone that the top brass definitely wants to commit more. What else we get here? I mean, obviously the big thing, the Force prophecy. I mean, this is a show where people have been butthurt over it. Well, there's none of the Force in here. It can't be Star Wars. Well, now we got it through this Force healer. And while I don't think she's saying Cassian is a Force-sensitive Jedi-like, I do think she's saying the Force has a plan for this being. And it's so strong. I can feel it. And I'm getting this concept of him being a messenger. And that's exactly what he ends up becoming. So I kind of like that tie. This Force healer not only asks Cassian and Bix to kind of examine their faith and their belief in this Force thing, but it also asks us too. Like, I mean, what do you do with the concept of faith or believing in a spiritual being or something like the Force? Are you going to put your faith into it like Bix does, or are you going to be someone like Cassian that kind of snubs your nose at it and doesn't believe in such a thing? So all that stuff we got on Yavin, I thought was great. I mean, the fact that Draven's already there, they're not really rebels yet. You notice none of them had the proper military insignias. So the Yavin lore was kind of my first top moment. That was like, hey, all right, Yavin wasn't just some place they all rushed to. It was developed and cultured and cultivated over time to become a safe haven for rebels. So much so that you heard Draven, he wanted loyalty pledges there towards the end. Like, hey, you can't just come and go and get the benefits of this secure Yavin base. You need to pledge yourself to our cause, which I believe that this, what are we calling them? I think in Rebels they're called the Masasi group. Are we calling them the Yavin group or just keeping them Masasi at this point in time? So
yeah, I don't know if they're if they're doing name changes and stuff like that now. But yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting because it puts you in an odd. I understand Cassian's like response to that too. It's like, bro, you're asking me for a loyalty pledge just like the Empire's asking all of their people for loyalty pledges. Like, what makes you any different? Like the moment I love when he said, the moment that I can't come and go freely is the moment that I won't be here anymore. Like,
right.
you can't institute policies that you're fighting against uh in your organization. Like you just can't do that. Like I understand that it's a scary time and I understand that it's like a you want to try to ensure some sort of safety, but like look, if you do that and you force everybody to give a loyalty pledge, what comes next when you don't feel safe? Like, do you just take another step towards
Shoot him.
imperialism?
Shoot him, yeah.
Like, what? Like, I liked that particular exchange because it showed that Cassian understands what is going on here in a way that even this general doesn't. Like, he just didn't get it. He didn't get it.
Yeah,
Um,
I
yeah,
thought the
just good
Yavin
stuff.
stuff was just it was eye opening. I mean, I just call me an idiot or whatever, but I never fully understood what this base was to the rebels. It was their home. I mean, people had homes in the
Yeah, they
jungle
were
of
living
Yavin.
there.
I mean, they truly lived here. It was everything to them. So it was cool kind of seeing that early on and how Yavin in every shot is constantly being worked on. There's metal structures going up, scaffolding everywhere. It just, I don't know. I dig that type of shit. All right. The next top moment, rather, clearly, we got to go to the massacre. And I don't want to just be like, oh, yeah, the massacre was awesome. Look at that. Yeah, I can say all the superlatives, and the build up to it was fantastic. I was rolling around on my couch last night during episode 8, waiting for the moment to pop off. But Nick, I actually, in honoring the massacre as a top moment through the lens of Serial, when the camera kind of focuses on him as he's standing in the middle of the plaza, just watching all hell breaking loose and people being murdered left and right, and understanding that he had a direct hand in this. And I know you're like, hey, let him fucking burn for his sins. And I agree. I mean, you make bad choices. Sometimes you got to suffer the consequences. But I think as a character in this moment, he realized that his entire life, or at least what he's been doing with Dedra, is dead wrong. And he was bamboozled. And you could see and sense the betrayal and the sadness and the shock of what the massacre was doing to this once very sterile Hail Hitler type of Imperial. So while the massacre was fantastic, everything about it from top to bottom was great. I think in particular, one of the best aspects of it was watching Serial see the fruits of his labor and how much that affected his mental state.
Yeah. I mean, Cyril is a person that had no fucking business being anywhere near that. Like, this dude is mama's boy Imperial wannabe that washed out on Ferrix and just happened to fall in with a girlfriend that thought that the best way to show her love for him is to put somebody with no combat experience inside of a psyop, which he is going to be involved in a way that could get him killed. And he finally realized what happens when you're in a situation like that. People fucking die. And it was a very cool moment. It's a moment that we've seen play out in a lot of different ways in a lot of different pieces of media, that like that shock of the violence that is occurring around them. And I think that Cyril was the perfect vehicle for that to be shown through, because he shouldn't have been there in the first place.
Well, I think Divided makes a good point in the stream, Nick, not to cut you off here, but she said he lost all purpose until he saw Cass, then he had purpose again. I think that's spot on. Like, I think Cyril was ready to catch a stray bullet, to be honest with you. Like, I don't think he really cared if he made it out of that plaza or not.
Oh yeah.
It was seeing his personal nemesis that kind of woke him up again. And just because she's tooting my horn, and we all know that I love that. But thank you, League. You are right. I did talk about this last week and how I believe Serial could have the change of heart because of his involvement with the Ghorman front. Sometimes I forget my greatness, so I am appreciative when you all remind me of that. Okay, thank you.
Here's what I'll say. I think that and I'm not wrong, but people are going to say I am. He didn't have a change of heart because his intention was still to disrupt the rebellion, to hurt the people in the rebellion. What happened was he realized he got lied to, and that he was being used in a way that he didn't expect to be used by the Empire. he's still Imperial. Like, he was still like, I thought that we were rooting out outside agitators, aka rebellion forces coming in to help the Ghorman front. That's what he thought that he was doing. He didn't have a change of heart and been like, he wasn't like, I'm all rebellion now. He realized that the person that he loved, or that he was in a relationship, was using him and lying to him for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
And his anger came out for that. Like, he didn't switch sides and was like rebellion all the way. The dude was literally in her office saying, why are we not rooting out outside agitators, aka the rebellion? I thought that's what we were doing the whole time. I was excited to do that.
But then he tells her to eat shit and he leaves, you know? I mean, it's not like...
Eat shit. He almost choked her to death.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because he was it wasn't because he's switching to the rebellion side now. It's because
I don't know if that's the point. I'm not saying Ciri was going to grab a gun with Wilman and Cassian and start shooting people, but I 100% think he was like, what have I been doing? Like, what have I been doing? Yeah.
The
Empire is not what I think it is. Like, if they're willing to do this type of shit and lie to me and do this level of psyop to steal a people's planet, I think I think he finally woke up to the fact that the Empire equals bad. But we'll never know, because Rylance cured him of any reconciliation or redemption. So we'll talk about that, though, actually, in my next top moment. Before that, someone just threw out a big spot, so we know we have to go to the Bango. Bango saying, I think they did a slick job of making us wonder if he was going to actually break good in the middle of the shit. I think he maybe could have switched sides given his malleable nature and had not been for seeing Andor. Yeah. I'm not going to make that conclusion that, he was instantly going to become a rebel, but I do think for the first time in his life, he started to, the veneer of the Empire was chipped, and he was starting to realize, like, these are some evil, sadistic fucks. But
yeah,
we're not going to leave Nick's favorite character yet, because my next favorite moment is the fight with Cassian. I mean, it was just you go from a guy looking completely shell-shocked, literally shell-shocked, to seeing his nemesis, the guy that ruined his dreams of becoming an ISB agent. You got to remember, it's all because of Cassian that he got fired from Morlana 1 and the pre-lock security forces, all that fun stuff. I mean, Cassian is the reason he was made a fool and ended up working on Coruscant as an accountant. So this dude has had a boner for Cassian for, 4 years, 3.5 years coming up to this point. It's driven him. I mean, Cassian has been his main focus. So naturally, when he sees him getting ready to pop Dedra, it has nothing to do with, he's going to snipe my old bitch. It's like that. It was instantly like, wee-hoo, 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 that guy. And he just freaking raged. And I thought the fight was excellent. It was brutal. It was visceral. Syril was definitely giving Cassian a run for his money. And you could argue he might have beat him. But I do think, Nick, once Cassian, like Syril's all worked up, just got blowed up a little bit. He looks like shit. He's got Cassian's rifle. He's ready to blast him. And Cassian just incredulously is like, who are you? Like, why are you trying to fucking kill me, bro? Like, you don't look like a stormtrooper. You're not wearing black. What's the problem? And at that moment, you could see it. Cyril's like, he starts to drop the gun. He's like, yeah, what? This guy doesn't even know me. I've dedicated 4 years of my life throwing darts at this guy's face on my wall. I've made all my decisions for the past few years have been centered around this man, and he doesn't even know that I exist. What am I doing?
Yeah.
And he's lowering it, and then you got Rylance like, not so fast, pal. You fucked us over. Bang! Right in the head. So I love the fight itself, but again, I also love that moment between Cassian and Syril, where Syril realizes, like, why am I so angry at this dude? He doesn't even know me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's almost like a Marvel moment, right? Like, that one of my favorite moments in Endgame was when Scarlet Witch comes out and was like, you took everything from me, and then Thanos was like, I don't even know who you are.
Exactly.
Like, And it's like it's that type of moment where it's just like you feel like because of what you have gone through, this person must have some idea of who I am, and because of that, I have to take my vengeance out on them. But yeah, I think that like Cyril definitely realized his place in the galaxy at that moment. And unfortunately, it was his last moment. Like,
dude, that was,
yeah,
he's like getting, I was almost like, oh man, these two might actually have a dialogue, and then out of nowhere, you just see like a ping shot right to the temple. It's like, damn, dude.
Yeah, and it's like it's twofold for him too, right? Because it really sucks for Cyril. Am I sad that he died? No, he made his bed, and he did some awful shit for some awful people that got a shitload of people killed. So guess what? You get a bullet to the head. But for in this episode, this dude realized that his girlfriend has been using him for 3 years and lying to him the whole time. And then the one guy that he really feels like is his nemesis doesn't even know who he is. Like it really sucks for him.
Yeah, he is he one of the biggest losers in Star Wars in the end, Nick Serial then?
Oh, for fucking sure. Like, yeah. Like there's no like up to this point.
Dedger had a "I'm with loser" shirt, right? Loser. When they'd go out on the Coruscant streets, there'd be a finger pointing at him.
She might as well have. She might as well have. I feel bad. I feel bad for Kyra Rylance. Even I missed it. What was Wyatt saying? Because I feel bad for Rylance.
Even though he was a bit naive, come on, tooltips. Even though he's a bit naive with the last art, I can't help. I feel bad for him. Like he lost not just his planet and his people, but also his daughter, her boyfriend. Yeah. I mean, his daughter got the old shot put toss from K2. So you had to appreciate that. For the first time, we actually had robotic characters tossing meat bags, and the meat bags actually feeling the consequences of being hurled into the air at high speeds. You know, a lot of times we see these just like you just fly back, you hit a wall, and you're fine. No, he picked that bitch, ends up, and he's like, whaggo! She comes landed down her head, dead. You see a guy come flying through the screen in the background when Cassian and Wilman are trying to get away. You know immediately what's coming. So we'll be talking about the KX droids here in a second. All right, another top moment to discuss from this fantastic art. Well, hey, I guess I should have just stuck with it. But it is. It's how Cassian and K2 meet, man. It's like, I was not expecting it to go down the way it did, where K2 is literally almost about ready to murder him and Wilman before that shithead that got Cinta killed in the last arc comes up with like a, kind of a mini tank and cuts him in half. And it was just kind of like, it happened, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, this is it. That's the K2. I know it. I know Cassian is going to somehow be like, you know what? This could be useful. It didn't. K2 and Cassian's origin story did not play out even remotely as I thought it would. I thought it would be like a main focus, a mission to get one. But I actually appreciated how just matter of fact it was. It adds more lore to Ghorman. We now have clarity on the K2 Cassian connection. I know there's a comic book about it, but fuck the comic books. They never matter in the end. So I love that they bonded over K2, basically trying to kill each other. Not bad.
It was pretty close to what I thought was going to happen. When I was speculating about it, I said it's going to be like some battle, and this droid is going to end up like coming after him, and then the droid is going to get deactivated in his ship, is the way that I said it. And this is pretty close. Like the droid's trying to kill him. They deactivate it by cutting it in half, and then they put it on his ship to fucking head back.
What I want to know, Nick.
So,
how come our boy gets Swiss cheesed in Rogue One, but against Cassian Wilman, he doesn't take a single bolt that penetrates his armor?
Yeah, I don't know if because the Imperial military made these droids that they then made ammunition that could fight against
that works for me. I thought that's a little bit of a plot hole here between Rogue One and this. I mean, these KX droids on Ghorman, they were more or less invincible. And they could run. I mean, did you see K2? I mean, after he was tossing people and Cassian was trying to help, I mean, he starts picking up the pace. These things were deadly. I mean, once they unleashed these fucks on the massacre, it just got more bleak for the gore.
I gotta imagine that both sides, after they figured out, like, oh shit, like, even on the Imperial side, they're probably like, look, if one of these goes rogue and we can't shoot it, then what the fuck are we gonna do? So probably both the rebels and the Imperials were like, we got to come up with something that could shoot through these motherfuckers. We can't just have these dudes rolling around with no way to deactivate them if they go rogue.
I had no clue that the KX droids were that impressive of killing machines until what we saw at the massacre. I thought they're more just like muscle, kind of, walking tanks almost. I did not know that they could sprint, chuck bodies at will, eat laser bolts better than Din Djarin himself. Hey, Nick, real quick before we move on, the picture I have of K2 up, well, there you go. Did you also think that's our boy when he specifically turns and looks at Serial?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, just like, come on.
Like, who knows if that was really it? Like, but yeah, like that's him. Like, why would you make that one stand out?
Yeah, okay, all right, good. Well, if it's not, we just made it canon right here, so screw it.
They're crazy in the games. Says no. I wonder which game are you talking about, Noah? Are they in Battlefront 2 now or something?
I'm trying to think. Maybe they're in Jedi Survivors. I can't remember. They might be, but yeah, that
I didn't play Survivor, so yeah, I don't know.
It might be. I mean, it's been over a year. I can't remember. All right. Next top moment from this episode. I know I saw this in the stream somewhere, but towards the end of episode 8, and I've got the shot of Diego's perfect acting to this moment. But when Drina is kind of putting out the call, the Ghorman call, as I called it, kind of trying to broadcast to whoever's listening in the galaxy to let them know really what happened on Ghorman, to try to cut through the Empire's propaganda. Just the music playing and all the tragedy that just took place, seeing Cassian almost crying, knowing that he might have just lost Wilman. He just experienced the massacre. He was involved in it. A bunch of people from the Ghorman front are now dead. Shit is just very bleak right now for Ghorman and those that are trying to fight back against the Empire. So I really kind of love that closing scene and how it just beautifully showed the tragedy of the Ghorman Massacre and then the emotional toll it took on everyone. In particular, this is where we see Dedra kind of have her mental break. I mean, as the music's playing and the rebel message is going out, this is where we see her choking by her anxiety and like twitching, and she can't control her hand. All her tics are coming back. She's lost control over the sterile version of herself that she likes to put forward. So I thought this was a great end cap to an amazing episode of Star Wars.
Right. It reminded me a lot of episode 8 when they were on Crate and they're sending out the transmissions like, somebody help us, nobody responds. Obviously a very different situation. It
just hammers home how bleak it really was back then to even consider rebelling against a galactic empire helmed by 2 Sith Lords. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing. All right. Next top moment we hear is going to move us into episode 9 a bit, which was also full of some great stuff to talk about. But I honestly, Nick, the build to Mon's speech, the tension that was bringing, again, the music, Cassian trying to get in position as his journalist persona, Erskine doing his thing, Bail and Mon kind of pre-planning how it was going to go down. And then obviously the speech itself was masterful. I did not write it down. I do not remember it verbatim. But if you're alive right now and you're a human, she was not only speaking to the Star Wars galaxy, but she was speaking to each and every one of us that is a citizen of a government. And her lines on the importance of truth and how when those that lead us do not respect that and the monsters they become and what they can inflict upon a population was very poignant, especially as an American. But as a Star Wars fan, I mean, this was a gutsy move by Mothma to do this, and I'm glad we finally got to see it play out in live action. And I honestly could not have asked for anything more. I mean, the build up and then the speech itself was just masterful.
Yeah, it was awesome. I really like the way that they constructed it. I really like the way that like the Imperial response to it, and then you find out that they have two techs that were like, you know, rebel plants that locked the door, so they couldn't shut it down, and everything that was that like went into ensuring that this could happen, because they were like the Imperials were pretty, the guy was like, they can't get on stage. We already know what they're doing. Like, it's not going to happen. Like, they were pretty fucking convinced that she was not going to be able to say anything. And the way that they were able to get around it with like their own policy, like when Bale goes up there and says like, using this article that was put into place
By the Empire.
the Palpatine administration. I am taking this action to give the floor to the senator from Chandrilla. Like,
Master
just the
politicking,
machinations
dude.
that they went through.
Master
Yeah,
politicking
like, just
by
really great stuff.
Organa.
Yeah, I just like, I think that Benjamin Bratt did a great job, but man, Jimmy Smits has got to be like, I can't fucking believe I didn't get to do that. Like,
yeah, I would not want to be Jimmy right now, because if you think about it, like, that's probably Bale's biggest moment on screen, really.
Yeah, absolutely, it is. And I mean, like, you know, it was really well done, well executed. I feel bad for Jimmy because he's played this character so well in the time that he's been doing it. I mean, over 20 years at this point, from when, or 20 years from when ROTS came out. Obviously, he was in AOTC as well. Yeah, just well done all around. The speech was fantastic and definitely something that should be taken
League's
to
gonna
heart.
segue us into our next top moment, but she's asking, what do you think made Mothma trust Cassian? And then I think she's been so used to Luthen's way of living. He did have the code word about, you know, I've got friends everywhere.
Yeah,
but I think
I know people everywhere.
Yeah, League. I think what really sealed the deal was the mole in Bale's team being outed in front of her, so she could finally see for herself that Luthen was not yanking her chain, and he did tell her the truth. And clearly we knew. I mean, we got some insights into the mole in the Bale team. I mean, she was one of Lonnie's agents, so of course Lonnie had to kind of keep it up and let her do her thing. But that's also why Luthen knew about it beforehand, because it was one of Lonnie Young's agents, who is, you know, the ISB guy that has been working with Luthen for many, many years at this point in time. So I think it was a combination of the code word and then just realizing, okay, Luthen was telling me the truth. Bale's team was compromised, and it really was nothing Bale did on purpose. Shit happens.
He didn't know.
Yeah. But that was my next top moment, is their escape from the Senate. This, my friends, it gave us new canon that is just going to make the Secret Cargo episode in Rebels feel so much more fleshed out, earned, whatever you want to call it. Because that's the one thing we did not know from Rebels, when she shows up and she's being escorted by Gold Squadron, and then Empire fucks up her ship, so that's why she ends up on the Ghost, and then the Ghost takes her to Dantooine, where she gives her second speech that you heard Draven telling Cassian about once he returned to Yavin. But we never knew how she got out, who was involved. So I love the fact that it was Luthen, the guy that started all this. It was his kind of top-tier assassin, cloak and dagger guy in Cassian that gets her out. But even more so, what we learn in the safe house, where they reveal that, like, hey, listen, Cassian, you're not taking her anywhere. The rebels want to kind of rewrite the story of how Mothma was saved. She was saved by the Rebel Alliance to make it sound like they are a bigger operation. They just pulled off a successful job. I dig all that shit. I love retroactive lore when done well, and that's exactly what we got in this Senate escape.
Yeah, I filled in the gaps well. I think the tension was really well done, and you could just see it, like it was chaos everywhere. So like this woman pulls out a blaster and is like, I'm an ISB agent. Nobody fucking knows that. So when Cassian just says she's a rebel spy, everybody's like, what the fuck?
No,
And it
that
gives
was
him time to
Erskine.
just,
Erskine, that was his good
oh
move
yeah,
there.
yeah,
He's like,
she's
she's
a
a
rebel
rebel,
spy, yeah.
fuck, and everyone panics. And Cassian, we know he does not panic when there's an opportunity to shoot someone, he fucking shoots, and we've known that since season 1, episode 1.
Yeah, so I think that was all really well executed. Obviously, like navigating your way out of a Senate chamber, which is like meant to be hard to escape from,
Hey
was
man,
really
do
well
you
done.
think her ISB driver? Do you think he had a change of heart when he was going up to see her? Because if you see him, he's listening to her speech in the car. It seems like it's having an impact on him. He also leaves his blaster on the seat. But he runs up and he's like, hey, hey, and Cassian's like, hey, I got her. Bang! There's another one. He just shoots without even thinking. So do you think the driver ultimately might have been there to help, or would he have tried to capture her?
I think that the dude honestly didn't know what he was going to do even in that moment. Like this guy was like, they
kind of a stooge.
She already had said before, like he's like, she was like, he's dim, so like why would I replace him? Like if they replaced him, they would replace him with somebody better. Like I feel like the guy was in a position to where like he knows what his job is, but he also knows who this woman is, and he really had no fucking clue what he was going to do walking up to her. And like from Cassian's perspective, 100% the right move. Like she knows he's an
first,
ISB
ask
agent.
questions later, man.
Yeah. Because it's like, if it's 50-50, if it's a coin flip on what he does and the coin flip's bad, then you're fucked. And if the coin flip's good, then you just have more problems because you got to drag somebody else along
exactly.
with you.
Yeah, they would have killed him at the safe house anyways. I mean, Clay would have been like, who are you? Plago! No thanks.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Like, there's no way. So, yeah, good move by Cassian.
Next top moment, and I teased this one earlier, but shit, dude, was this some heavy ass stuff? But Bix's Irish goodbye to Cassian, it's just, I don't know, man. It may be one of the most legit emotional moments in all of Star Wars, at least for me personally. And it's not like the other emotional stuff, Luke fighting his dad in Return of the Jedi. That gets me all worked up. Luke making that heroic return at the end of Mandalorian season 2. It's not that type of like fan emotion. Although I guess my stuff with Luke and his dad and ROTJ is kind of tied to the shit between me and my own father. But I just really felt like Bix's message hit me like a ton of bricks, just as a human. I mean, yes, I was feeling emotions for the characters in the show, the way Cassian responded to it, just kind of running and looking, and just the sheer level of sadness on his face, and Bix having to cut that video and what that must have been like. But it also just made me think, like, holy shit, man, what are these people going through, and what would it be like to just have your soulmate leave and leave for you, in a sense, to let you kind of achieve the destiny you're meant to achieve. And I don't know, man, did this one rack you at all? Did this make you feel a little funny as a man and
No.
get you thinking? No, you're like, hey, fuck it, gives a shit, it's a show, emotions are for pussies.
It's not that, it almost feels insulting to Cassian. The way that I would have reacted to that is it almost feels insulting, because you are now, for a person who has done as much for you and for the galaxy as he has, to not respect him enough to say it to his face. And it was like, it's probably out of fear, because she felt like if she would have had the conversation up front, then she wouldn't have been able to hold to her, her stance on it.
She explains it. She's like, if I would have talked to you, you would have convinced me.
But also to not respect somebody who's given as much as he's given. And like, we know the end game of it. Like we know how it goes and we know what happens, stuff like that. But it is I found it to be relatively disrespectful in that sense, because you could have also had that conversation with him and made him understand how much that you've sacrificed and how much that you've done to give up at this moment. And I felt
He
like
would have left.
if it would have, and that's his decision as a person who's given his entire life to this cause and given the lives of many of his friends to this cause. You know, and like I understand why she did what she did. I do understand why she did what she did, but I find that I feel like if they would have had a conversation about it, and if and
They
she
did.
could have,
The night before, he's like, we're leaving. I'm getting out of here. We're done. We're going to go to a safe place and be
yeah,
together.
but it's not that conversation that she had by herself. Um, that's my only thing about it, and it's like that's the only way that he would have listened is her stance. But yeah, I didn't love how that went down,
Yeah, we're
but I
going to
understand the
disagree on this
emotional
one
aspect of it.
1,000%, just like the serial stuff. I think this was highly emotional and the way to go. I mean, it was set up way back in episode 7 when Vel came in and talked to her, essentially saying, like, listen, Bix, I don't think you understand how important this man is to the movement. They need him. They need him to ascend, essentially. And by they, she was specifically talking about Draven and Dodonna. And then the prophecy. So you had two things weighing on Bix. You literally, because she believed in the prophecy of the messenger, and then you had Vel essentially telling her, like, no, Cassian is extremely important to this movement. In fact, if we don't have him, things probably aren't going to go the way they're going to go. So she decided, especially because he just told her, like, listen, we're leaving, that the only way to ensure this man fulfills his destiny and achieves what needs to be done is if I more or less fuck him over and make the choice for the both of us. So I don't know. I dug it. This episode's getting a little long in the tooth, so let's move on to the eggs and references here. All right, there's a few good ones from what I can remember here. Up first, I mean, obviously we got a force healer, which is something that's kind of become a thing in Star Wars in this ever since the sequel trilogy, I guess. We've been talking about him, but we got to see Draven before he becomes General Draven of the Rebel Alliance, and he's just as prickly as he was in Rogue One. I mean, the guy just seems to be his default mode is dickhead, right? I mean, this guy just...
I think it's he can't deal with a lack of control is his problem.
Yes, he likes control.
That's what it is.
This guy should be in the Empire. You know, I mean, this guy should be
like
in the Empire.
He would be a perfect Imperial general, but he's smart enough to understand that imperialism and dictatorship, authoritarianism is not good. But he's struggling to deal with people like Cassian. That's like, look, bro, I left. I'm not fucking.
Give me your loyalty pledge.
Yeah,
like what the fuck, dude? Loyalty
can't
pledge.
Adjust to that too super quick.
Get out of here. All right, next little egg reference here, and Nick, this is another one. I know I did. I remember we talked about, but I thought Cassian getting the U-wing might have been a thing, but no, he just had it. There it is.
He just had it.
It's not even retrofitted with whatever hypercoms they were talking about at the end. So yeah. There's the U-wing in all its glory. It is a cool ship, but it was nothing special, which, you know, it makes sense. It didn't need to be. I just brought it up, but we did get a Dodonna mention from Vel when she was more or less going to Bix to let Bix know, like, hey, you got to do whatever it takes to keep this guy engaged here and not fucking off with Luthen because he is becoming somebody in this Yavin cell. Moving right along, we had at the hotel. I kind of like that the bellhop, you know, we got to see him get promoted to cashier or receptionist, and he had multiple references for us. The first one we got, Nick, is, I don't know if it was him or the lady working the desk, but they were talking about, hey, the Alderaan group had to leave early. So little nod to Alderaan. Little did that group know that within about a year's time, they're going to get nukes on their own planet. So they might as well just stayed on Ghorman and potentially been massacred. Another one, and maybe you all can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I'm pretty sure when he is assembling his gun in the hotel room, that's the same attachment-laden transformer gun that we see him using and getting ready to shoot Galen Erso with in Rogue One. Am I on to something here?
I think it
or
might be.
Did he switch models at
I
this point in
think
time?
you're maybe it's an updated model. Maybe he got a new one when the rebellion forms. It's similar gun for sure. Yeah.
Okay, so we got that. I'll take the quasi win, if anything. Back to our receptionist guy. What does he give us? Well, Jin didn't come up with the line. It seems this Gore did, because he's the one that spits "Rebellions are built on hope," which, you know, is kind of Jin's big thing in Rogue One, to kind of stick it to the rebel leaders on Yavin when they're not committing to going to Scarif after they have the intel about the Death Star plans and all that. But it was kind of the big tagline for Rogue One, so it was kind of cool to see that again. Apparently I didn't take a screenshot of this, but we got to see the origin of K2, and he was split in half, basically a pile of junk. We've talked about Mon's speech over and over. It is a reference to the same speech in canon we've heard about from Star Wars Rebels. We just now finally got to see it play out in full. This one, it took me a bit, but does anyone remember? It's in episode 9. It's at Yavin Base. It's literally a throwaway fucking moment. I don't even know why they did it outside to jam in this cameo I'm going to talk about next, but it was kind of a twofer here. But you notice there's a lineup. Vel's going through. Everyone had to put their weapons down on the table. And she sees a gun, and she clearly is familiar with it. She's looking at it, scanning it like she's seen it before. And then she goes, hey, who's this belong to? And sure enough, it belongs to Melshi. But little do you all know, or maybe you forgot, this was the blaster that Cassian took from Serial on Ferrix when Serial came there to shake him down. Cassian then brought it with him to Aldhani, which is where Vel would have seen it. Cassian also had it on Narkina 5 when he was at that hotel room and stashed it in a box before he got, not Narkina 5, or Neamos, and stashed it in a box. And then when him and Melshi escaped and they went back there, he gives that gun to Melshi when they split up, for Cassian to go to Ferrix and then Melshi to kind of go do whatever, because clearly it took him until 2 BBY to officially join the Yavin group. But I like that.
Yeah.
That one got me for a bit, Nick. I had to do a little research because I'm like, why the fuck are they focusing on this pistol? And then I finally put two and two together.
Yeah, I knew the pistol was about something. I definitely didn't make that connection, but I was like, Melshi's here. It's Melshi's gun. It's got to have something to do with like Cassian gave him his gun or some shit. Like I was like, I didn't walk through the whole thing, but I was like, yeah, well, it's like it's got to be
again,
like a Cassian.
I have a mental illness when it comes to Star Wars, and you do not. So I wish I could be more like you. Okay, and then last but not least, when Cassian finally returns after the big Mon mission, it seems he's now fully committed to Andor. They're even calling him captain at this point in time. But Draven does run by the plan to him. Like, yeah, man, Gold Squadron is out there to escort Mon back to Yavin, which is canon from Rebels. And just real quickly, for those that forgot, what happened there was Gold Squadron was the original squadron that was supposed to bring her to Yavin. They needed to refuel during this mission, and the Ghost crew was tasked with refueling them. During the refuel process, the Empire shows up and essentially blows the fuck out of the Chandrillan flotilla that she was on, that Gold Squadron was escorting. That's why she ends up on the Ghost, and Gold Squadron is reduced to just 2 Y-Wings. They end up, all sorts of hijinks take place. They end up going to Dantooine, and above Dantooine is where she delivers her essentially it's time to rebel speech. And then all the rebel cells come out of hyperspace. You see Home 1, you see the Phoenix Squadron shows up. So that's kind of what Draven was talking about, and how Gold Squadron attaches to that. All right. So that's that and a bag of nuts here. Let me go through some ha's here to see if we missed anything. We talked about Cassian and Luthen split. I mean, I know we didn't say much about Luthen, but it's pretty clear at this point in time that he knows he is not meant to be mixed up in the main Rebel Alliance and the Yavin movement, right, Nick? I mean, he knows he's He's made his bed. He's sticking to it. He knows his time is limited. He says as much to Cassian, like, yo, man, when you and I first started doing this 5 years ago, we knew we're dead. We're dead men. And Cassian's like, screw you. So we talked about Yavin, Oncel. Partagaz talked about how hardcore he was. It's pretty clear now that Dedra is not necessarily loving what she has done and wrought upon herself. It'll be interesting to see, did she return to Coruscant and assume the new roles and all the praise being lavished on her, or is she in a very dark place? I think that'll be interesting. No reason to talk anything more about Ciro. We talked about the Force connection and how Cassian is the messenger. The Luthen and Yavin stuff definitely was like, oh, wow. Because you and I were like, oh, he'll probably be killed before that. He doesn't even care about it. He's like, it ain't my thing.
Yeah.
K2 staring at Ciro.
I guess.
We discussed blah, blah, blah.
We'll never get Dantooine. Dantooine just doesn't exist anymore,
exactly.
Right?
Yeah, no need to give that little nod. I guess all we get in Rebels is them hovering over the planet in space, and that's about it. Erskine. Oh, that's kind of interesting. They gave some more lore to Erskine, which again just added to the overall lore of that character in Rebels, that he was a Luthen plant as well. That speech from Mon and how relevant it is to today's politics. I think we got everything. Oh,
yeah, I think we covered
the one thing we didn't really go into that we did tease, and it is the resurrection of K2. Here's all I'll say. It's very clear. The engineer says they swapped the core, but I think it's also just as clear that it's not B2's core, because Cassian would have been way more invested in the turning on versus, all right, everyone get their fucking guns and turn this shit on. If things go sideways, we're literally going to melt it.
Yeah.
So
I'm
Nick,
interested to see.
As long as we've been holding on to that take it to the bank, lock it down prediction, I think it's been disputed at this point in time.
Yeah, they have to go into it more in the next arc, because I think Tony said something like, we had to get the K2 Cassian thing right. And I imagine that they're going to go into that more in the next arc. So we could still be proven right. And they reveal to him that like the core is from B2, and then you find out what happened to B2 on Mina Rao or whatever.
It's not going to happen. It's not. I'm telling you, it's not.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, remember, we're skipping another year.
It's weird that he would make.
You know what I mean,
it's
though.
Weird that he would say that.
Yeah. Well, I think he feels he got it right. I mean, here we go. I mean, maybe we'll see their adventures together, but we're skipping a year, so we're not going to see their early bonding. They're already going to be a pair when we meet them again next week. So I don't know if there's any narrative room left to. It just seems whatever rebel core they put in is the personality that we came to know and love in Rogue One. Wyatt, a little confused here. Yeah, I mean, through the Andor series, Wyatt, it's been made pretty clear, at least to myself, that Luthen Rael is the godfather of the rebellion, at least in terms of getting things moving. Yeah, Bail and Mon started the 9 or whatever back in the prequels, but they weren't rebelling against shit. They were just talking about things and being politicians. Luthen is the one that actually got boots on the ground, cells up and running, assassinations going down, Aldhani missions popping off. I think Luthen, in the end, contributed just as much, if not more, than Bail and Mon Mothma. I mean, he kind of propped up the seedy side of rebellion, where they maintained the political front.
Yeah, it's like two sides of it. Like, obviously, it would be really hard for Bail or Mon to try to run secret, like covert op missions like Luthen's doing, because one, they don't have any experience doing that, and two, they're like prominent political figures that have a lot of eyes on them. I mean, we saw that Mon Mothma's office was bugged, and if there was any chance that she could be caught, especially with the Senate and the greater Imperial structure knowing that she was a dissenter, like probably would have been, not a good position for her to be in as like
Well,
somebody that's trying to
yeah.
like run covert operations.
I mean, right now that we've seen what we've seen, you can say without Luthen, the rebellion's a failure. Mon Mothma gets captured on Coruscant, and it's over. I mean, Luthen is the reason for the
Yeah,
seasons
I
here.
mean,
Wyatt, I'll get you one more
for
here.
sure.
Ahsoka, I would not consider a founder of the rebellion. She to me is more like a Cassian. She is a very high value, highly efficient asset for the rebellion when she was Fulcrum. So that she's more like a Cassian versus a founder or someone that moved cells, if you would. All right. So next week,
I agree with that.
my friends, I mean, I think things come into focus. We're beyond the Ghorman stuff. I think we'll probably get some insights into where Dedra went with that. Did she embrace all the praise that was going to be lavished on her, or is she letting that event tear her down, and what's that going to do? You might see Cassian kind of dealing with Bix leaving him and going full into the Rebel Alliance, really becoming the Captain Andor we meet in Rogue One. I could see some Saw Gerrera stuff happening to where it's made very clear why he is kind of excommunicated from the Rebel Alliance. And I think you'll get some politicking with Bail and Mon on Yavin sitting around the war table. And from the Empire side, I think Krennic comes back in the picture, and we get more insights into their operations to start bringing the Death Star construction to an end. And as promised by Tony, the last moment should technically be Cassian walking to his U-Wing to fly to the rings of Kafrene to meet with Saul's contact. So I think you'll get some of that exposition too, as why Saul's contact knew about this Death Star thing, or this ultimate weapon, and how he got that information to the Yavin group, even though Saul and the Yavin group are clearly disenfranchised at this point in time. So I think that's the main deal, is resolving some Saul stuff and getting Cassian and the Rebels positioned to be right where they were when Rogue One came out in 2016. You're not getting Jyn Erso, Dodie. Yep. It's not happening. So, you're not getting Jyn Erso.
No, yeah, Jyn's not going to be in it.
No Jyn Erso.
Jyn literally, she's not coming in until Rogue One.
Yeah.
So
there's just no need. All right, man, let's go. It's time to kind of round third on this episode of SWTS. It is number 355. We do this shit a lot, and we've been doing it a long time. We appreciate all of you tuning in, coming to the live stream, and interacting. A great live stream today. So to honor you, as we always do, we're going to go ahead and move into this week's fan segment. We'll start with the question of the week. You can always participate by following us on socials and interacting with our content so the algo knows you like us. This week's question, as is the case when we are in season, revolves around the fans' thought on the most recent episode of New Star Wars, so naturally, Andor S2 7 through 9. What did you enjoy about the Andor 7 through 9 episodes? Nick, what did they say?
All right. Divided Skywalker says the fashion costume designers are on point. Also, the tension during the Senate scene and Cassian asking Cyril, "Who are you?" Good stuff. BMAD says absolute peak cinema. Tony Gilroy and Andor team have delivered something that Star Wars fans have always wanted, which is the grit. It's great having a cast of heroes that do no wrong, but every one of these characters are so complex and visceral that I genuinely cannot help myself but empathize for each of their struggles. Not to mention the 1v1 fisticuffs between Cyril and Cassian was brutal as hell. My boy Cassian was bruised the fuck up. That blue milk will keep you strong. Yeah, good stuff there from BMAT. Honestly, Cassian should have done better in that fight. But, we're beyond that.
Yeah, I mean, Cyril was super raged up. Man, that's like 3 or 4 years of pent-up aggression. So I will give Cassian a bit of a break in that fight.
He did get sucker punched to start with, so it's hard to bounce back real fast. Bango says, Mon's speech was absolutely spectacular, but I think my other favorite part was the runaway train steadily gaining momentum that culminated in the massacre was just incredible. The rising dread of multiple characters, Cyril's realization of what was coming, Dedra's acceptance of her task, just so fucking good. Phil says, watching Cyril's entire worldview and life's mission collapse around him was incredible storytelling, culminating in Cassian's "Who Are You?" Good stuff there. CMU 0012 says Mon's monologue was everything.
Boom.
League of Extraordinary Sixers, she says, when Cyril finally confronts Andor with all of the hatred, and Andor had no idea who he was, made him realize all his hatred was for nothing. Was so brilliant. The layers of nuance of Andor is what makes this show peak Star Wars.
Bada bing, bada
so
boom.
good
There you go.
stuff there. Thank you to everybody who participated. Amazing. Now we're going to move into the top 5 Star Wars fan hours features of the week. To get involved, make sure to follow us at StarWarsTime.show on Instagram, and to tag us at StarWarsTime.show, add tag at StarWarsTime.show, and all of your Star Wars Instagram posts. First up, we have OFP underscore Marine, and OFP underscore Marine is giving us a scene recreation, and I'm telling you, this is like a moment of a scene recreation from ROTS when Ki-Adi-Mundi is being taken out on Maigito.
It's the brutal murder of Big Head.
Yeah, of everybody's favorite Jedi now, Ki-Adi-Mundi. I mean, honestly, spot on in terms of like,
because they just stop in a line, stand and fire. You know, I just saw this again in the 20th, but still, man, I mean, Isla just gets absolutely destroyed. I mean, they fucking hated her guts.
She must have been. Yeah, she must have been the mean on Battlefield. They
circle around her, man, and just keep shooting. They just keep shooting a corpse until it's like they almost want it to disappear. But anyways, good work here from OFP underscore Marine on the gram.
That's right. Next up, we have 97 Parsecs Photography, one of our faves around here. 97, always bringing the heat. Giving us an awesome shot from the prequel era. We see our clone boys fighting against those clankers of the CIS. I mean, absolutely excellent work here from 97. Dude, just sick stuff. I mean, I also love how Rob gives you the background look here. Like, he gives you the raw photo look to just show you that
cotton
even
effect
the raw
is the best.
photo looks yeah, dude, like insanely good still. And then obviously he goes and cleans it up with his photo editing software. So always appreciate the look behind the curtain there from 97.
I would never take the time to stage a shot like this. That's also why my toy account is basically dead, because that is some effort, but it shows. It shows. 97 underscore Parsecs underscore Photography Instagram.
That's right. Next up, we have Coleccionista de Plástico, Coleccionista underscore de underscore Plástico. And it's an awesome look at our friends Obi-Wan Kenobi and Leia Organa, Solo, Skywalker, all of her different last names that she has. And it's an older Leia that still has the little droid that she had from the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. That you know, she's now looking at, saying, Obi-Wan, help me, Obi-Wan.
I know, I like that. Collectionista does a lot of shots like this. It's almost like where the past is reflected in the background.
Yeah, very poignant.
Yeah, another classy photography. Hey, Nick, you know what I'm realizing? I think our channel members have graduated to a new Vader cat due to their tenure.
They have.
I don't know if it's like the 6-month mark, 8-month mark.
1 year.
But Be Mad, I see it on. Bango, I see it on. It'll be a year this fall, I think, is when I turned it on. But it's
got to be close to a year.
They've moved on. So hey, if you all want a Vader cat next to your name, definitely consider giving our little channel a membership as low as $1.99 a month. You can get custom emojis, and then you get the Vader cat next to your name. All right. Next up.
There you go. Next up, we have that underscore Kiwi underscore bookshelf underscore guy. And that Kiwi bookshelf guy is giving us an awesome look at the bounty hunters from ESB, the crew that was tasked with bringing Han Solo
Bingo.
back into the clutches of Darth Vader himself. Always cool seeing the bounty hunter lineup. I love the posing of Boba up front. That's just like he's like the godfather of the crew.
Oh yeah.
He's the Don.
Yeah, it's like their elevator ride, right? They've arrived at the bridge. They're about ready to, or they're sending them off to go find Solo and the Falcon. But yeah, I kind of dig the lure this adds to Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, good stuff here. That Kiwi Bookshelf guy on Instagram. And the final one is from Tim's Toy Box. Tim's Toy Box giving us a fun little crossover between Disney property, Star Wars, and Marvel.
Hey,
I mean,
now.
look, dude, if you want to add Deadpool into Star Wars, I'm down for it. Just go ahead and do it.
Do you think the purple was the right color for Deadpool's saber? I do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right? Okay.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. Like,
I could see it being rainbow.
Just because you know that, yeah, like, you know that he would fourth wall break and make some sort of Mace Windu joke anyway. So, like, just giving him the same color blade as Windu fits. I love the posing. I love the addition of the soft goods cloak there on Deadpool, and the purple lightsaber I think really does fit along well with him. Fit well with him. So, good stuff here from Tim's _toy_ box on Instagram. Darth Pool says Clone Trooper mugshots was one of the comments. Darth Pool, good stuff. So, hey, that's the end of the top 5. And that's the end of our show for this week. So, Matt, go ahead and close us out.
Bango cracks me up. Bango, he's either had like East Coast parents. I know he kind of I think he lives like middle of PA. Maybe he had East Coast parents. I don't know. But like he's definitely someone that I can get down with and relate to. The attitude, the snarkiness. It's very East Coast influenced, which I'm not from the East Coast. My parents were. I grew up in Pittsburgh. It rubbed off on me, but that's just the attitude of like, hey, fuck you. I mean, that's just kind of how it is. But Nick is not wrong. We are done with this episode of SWTS. As always, we appreciate all you people joining us during the live stream. Yeah, Northeast PA born and bred. Makes sense there, Bango. At least you're not Amish. You know what I mean? But yeah, hey. Good stuff. I love talking about Andor, but I love it even more when I'm talking with my pal Nick and obviously the Star Wars Time Show community, the Discord heroes. I appreciate you on Tuesday nights. Let's do it again next week to close out Andor Season 2. Can you believe it? It's over already. Just like that, in a month's time, we will have consumed 12 hours of some of the best constructed Star Wars of all time. And we need to thank our Lord Gilroy and Sir Gilroy for their contributions to the franchise. So tune in. Don't forget to check out my long form review on youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show. Sub to the channel if you're not already. It is free, but if you want to pay for it, we love you even more. You'll get some great looking Vader cats next to your name. Some emojis like Tic Tac Thrawn to be used on YouTube. It's just a party. Hit the button down below. Join the channel. Either way, subbing or as a paid member, we love you and we will speak your name. All right, my friends, we'll have some shorts coming at you to remind you that we exist in between now and next Wednesday, but we'll see you here 5:30 p. Eastern, as close as we can get, to break down the finale of Andor Season 2 and whatever else you need to know in the land of Star Wars. Don't you all forget and keep pledging it and speaking it, standing on those soapboxes, but there is always time for Star Wars time. And if you listen to this dumb shit, the Force will be with you always. Sorry, Tom. You'll have to catch the replay. Bonus.
Catch the replay,
Hey,
Tom. Thank
look,
you.
it's a stinger for $3.55. All right, see you, people.